Yes, Ole Miss is still undefeated. Yes, Texas A&M is still undefeated. Okay, cool. They're not finishing, they're not making it through the SEC season without losing. They're not.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and the Odd Coaches Podcast is the authentic voice of sports leadership where coaching wisdom meets real talk. And on today's Throwdown Thursday edition, week 5 of the college football season, we're going to wrap it up. Big shakeup in the standings, and we will also preview week 6. I'm a little tossed and turned, as you'll find out throughout the show. So with me today is our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. And in segment 1, we'll talk about the big boys, Power 4. Segment 2, we'll talk about the group of 5, 6. And in segment 3, we will talk about what we think of the college football playoffs. But let me get to the SEC first. We're going to follow our traditional format, but we will spend a little extra time in the Big Ten. All right. We got a problem, Robert, and it's going to be solved on the field in the SEC. They're only taking 12 teams. That's all they're taking. But does the SEC get 4? You've got Ole Miss in there. You've got Alabama, Texas A&M, Tennessee. Vandy's hanging around, Missouri. And then LSU lost, but they're still in it. Georgia lost, they're still in it. And go Mississippi State, man. Y'all have had some tragedies the last couple of years with the Pirate Mike Leach passing away and just rebuilding the program. So, Robert, this week in the SEC, what are your thoughts, my friend?
Well, and you didn't even mention Texas, who was off this
Oh,
week.
yes. Yes. Sorry about that. You're
So,
correct.
I mean, but here's the thing. It's there are going to be 4 teams from the SEC in the playoff. I have zero doubt about that. Um, at least one, and I think more than one, are going to have 3 losses. I don't feel like any of these teams in the SEC are really separating themselves from the rest of them. And it wouldn't shock me if there's a 4 loss team in the playoff from the SEC. Would not shock me. Um, I think that's what's going to happen uh, with the SEC and the Big Ten as we go along. I think that um, it's going to be harder and harder for teams to separate themselves, and maybe not. I mean, Ohio State is still, I think, kind of head and shoulders above everybody else in the Big Ten, but there's a lot of teams that are just kind of the same. And right now, I mean, yes, Ole Miss is still undefeated. Yes, Texas A&M is still undefeated. Okay, cool. They're not finishing, they're not making it through the SEC season without losing. They're not. It's too hard. It's too hard. There are too many pitfalls. There are too many crazy road environments. I mean, Texas A&M, I mean, that's just a whole other. Auburn couldn't do anything offensively. LSU at Ole Miss. I've never. I mean, I don't know anything about Vaught Stadium, but it looked insane. You couldn't hear the field mic from the referee. It was crazy loud, and LSU's offense looked awful. Um, I do want to say this, and Bama at Georgia, same thing, crazy loud. Couldn't hear the field mic. Alabama actually, won on the road, which I mean, good for them. Um, I do want to say this. I watched Penn State Oregon, so I did not see Bama Georgia at all. LSU Ole Miss and Auburn Texas A&M, both of those games were borderline unwatchable. So many holding and pass interference penalties and false starts and I mean and I'm an official. The officials are calling the game and they're doing what they need to do, but so many mistakes from both sides. Really, both teams were heavily penalized in both games, and it just was. borderline unwatchable. But the SEC wouldn't shock me if a four-loss team makes playoff.
Yeah. Last thing on the SEC to Texas A&M's coach. Hey man, it's week 5 of the season. Save the diatribes for later, okay? Because if you go out and get whopped next week, we're gonna make fun of it. Okay, I'm gonna tell you we're gonna make fun of it. So leave the speeches alone. Hey, tough win. We're gonna get back at it next week. Blah blah. Move on. But once you
Save
start drawing that kind of attention, stay
save the
neutral.
new Rockney stuff for when you really need it, man.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I delayed the inevitable. So my tag team partner, Coach Mike Franchise Francis, uh, talked to me yesterday morning, and he said, as a joke, but he wasn't joking, you can bank on a few things, Keith. The sun's going to rise in the east. Penn State's going to lose a big game, and Keith will still believe in James Franklin. And all of these things are true. So yes, for those who are new to the show, as we close in on episode 700, which is I'm so proud of all of us, we have the same conversation every year. I'm a card carrying member of the Black Coaches Association. I still want a African American head coach to win a national college football championship because it's never happened, and we got 2 shots at it. Okay. Sorry for every other black coach. Ain't but 5 of you anyway. We've got Penn State, we got Notre Dame. That's all we got. That's it. So I see the data. I'm a quantitative researcher. I know what the data says. But they had 12 or 13 returning players. They're at home. It's a whiteout. All of these things. And within the group chat, and Robert is a member of the group chat, they're saying, yeah, and to all of the pieces of information that I'm providing. So, yeah, Penn State lost. And yeah. So, Robert, yeah, the Big Ten, great week, whatever. Well, what are we doing, man? What happened? It was right there, and we lost.
The thing was, is I mean, Penn State was playing from behind the whole second half, and I mean, they they made some great plays to get to bring the game even, to tie it, send it to overtime. They both score in overtime, and get it done. And we get to the second overtime, and it's not on James Franklin that Drew Aller throws a pick and the Oregon kid made a play. That's not on James Franklin. It's not. Okay. Kid made a play. It happens. Um, but yeah, we have this conversation all the time about James Franklin and winning a big game. And he hasn't done it. He just hasn't done it.
He
And
just hasn't
until
done it.
until you beat Oregon now, because Oregon's in the Big Ten now, till you beat Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan when they're Michigan, because they're really not right now. Until you beat those three, I mean it doesn't matter. You get another shot later because you get Indiana. But
Don't
that's
lose
not the
Indiana. Don't do that.
but that's not the same thing because Indiana's kind of Johnny
Yeah,
come lately.
yeah.
Indiana actually had a pretty good win. They got put to the test a little bit. They were behind late at Iowa, and wound up scoring late in the fourth quarter to pull it out. The fact that they struggled on the road, does that mean anything? I don't know. I mean, Iowa's a tough place to play, and Iowa's defense is pretty good, so good on them for figuring it out. But yeah, I mean, James Franklin has to figure that out, and he has to figure it out for his team because and the issue really is this: his team hears all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and his coaching staff. here's all of that. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
And so they have to figure out how they're gonna overcome that. And they
yeah.
haven't and they haven't clearly hasn't happened yet.
All right. Two more things for me. One, I'm not a big Lincoln Riley guy, but USC, the schedule makers, did not do them any favors. So last week they played the latest scheduled game, and this week they played an early game. And they were in it to like the last moment, and he didn't make an excuse. So I want to, publicly say to him, hey, I appreciate you not making an excuse. Took the L, but yeah, the schedule makers didn't do you any favors. And
No.
finally, on my end, UCLA might not win a game this year, and that is something. They might not win a game this year. Wow. All
Yeah.
right. Big 12 country. So, Mike Gundy, we called it, unfortunately. Um, there's no right or wrong way to do this. The people who said they should let him coach out the season, I say no. It's time to go. So, he's going to get his money. That's how you show me respect. You pay me what you owe. So he's going to get his money, and bless his heart, I'm sure the $16 million goes very far in Stillwater, Oklahoma. You don't have to move. People are not going to be mean to you at the Waffle House. They're going to be very kind to what you did. And I don't know if he's going to get the media or not. Don't know if he's going to take another job or not. But you can give me $16 million to leave, and I'll walk through the front door. You keep stuff. I'll get new stuff. So I don't need to go back into my office, but that's just me. The big question this week, Robert, is will the Big 12 get two? Because the SEC is probably going to get four. What are you thinking about the Big 12 this week?
I'm gonna go with no. I think they're gonna. I think whoever wins the Big 12 is gonna get in, and that's gonna be it. Um, Iowa State still looks pretty good. Um, Watched a little bit of BYU late last night. Um, they have a freshman quarterback wearing number 47. That's the jersey number that he chose, which I mean, you don't see that every day. It's legal, but you don't see that every day. It's kind of weird. Um, they went to Colorado and won. Um, Colorado's not great. I didn't think BYU was all that impressive. Maybe
We've
they'll
said
play
that
better.
too. We've said that all year, and we can be polite about it. They're just not very good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll play better when they have to play Iowa State.
What do you think
Uh,
about Houston? They're undefeated right now.
Houston is undefeated. Um, they went overtime to beat Oregon State and make them 0-5. So they Houston hasn't played anybody yet, so we'll reserve judgment. TCU lost at Arizona State on Friday. I the problem with the Big 12 is the Big 12 can't afford to beat each other up because if they beat each other up, then definitely only one's getting in. If you have two undefeated teams that make it to the if you have two undefeated teams make it to the Big 12 championship game, you can argue you're going to get two in.
But they do not. They will not. And all right, we'll talk about them segment three when we start to piece together the 12. Finally, ACC and Notre Dame. Um, hey, ACC, this is for your entire conference. You blew it, kid. You blew it. Florida State, you blew it. And now you're going to have issues because Clemson didn't do you any favors. Georgia Tech barely beating Wake, that do you any favors. And when you look at the national rankings, you don't have a leg to stand on. So Notre Dame is in a prime spot. They're going to start climbing up the rankings. This week, they were like 22, 23, and now they're going to probably be 20 or 19. Perfect spot for them. And then they play Boise State, who they still have respect for. Okay. And then they're going to just start just marching up, and all they got to be is 10, maybe 11. And they're going to get the benefit of the doubt that last week. Robert, any thoughts on the ACC, or maybe I'm being too hard on them? But I think they blew it for the entire conference with Florida State just laying an egg in
No,
Charlottesville.
I agree with you. Florida State can't lose to Virginia, and kudos to Virginia. They played a good game. They played well. and beat a ranked opponent at home. Students lost their mind. It was awesome.
Okay.
Um, but does them? I mean, as far as the ACC goes, your only hope is Georgia Tech going undefeated.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your only hope. And I mean, whoever wins the ACC is going to get in because they have to. But you know, you're going to get in as a 12 and go play the SEC runner up and get boat raced is what's going to happen. So, um,
Uh,
so that's not beneficial. I agree with you on Notre Dame. That Notre Dame, they're just gonna
10-2 on the wheel, baby. 10-2 on the wheel.
10-2 on the wheel and finish 10-2, and you will be in the playoff.
All right. So, Robert, I got to close with UVA. So, I'm a former athletic director, and safety and security are our number one priority. And your level of safety and security sucks. What are you doing? You got a kid in the end zone who just needs to get back to safety. You don't know how to do nothing. All that showed was you don't know how to win. You don't know how to do anything. And I don't care if the ACC fined them. That told me how all of that happened, told me how you feel about your players, coaches, staff, security. You just think you're stinking basketball with these court stormings. You're stinking football with these court stormings. And that's an unsafe situation that didn't have to be unsafe. You get on the PA as you're seeing what's going on and you position your people. If I know this as a former high school AD, you position your people. You say, safety, we want you to have a good time. All of that's a big moment. But can we get the other team off the field first before you do that? Because you could even see the post game, whatever. I'm I'm a hostile when it comes to stuff like that. Robert, am I crazy? Talk me off a ledge. But I was just irritated when I saw that unsafe situation for the players and staff of Florida State. Win the game, great, but you don't have to hurt nobody. And thank God nobody was hurt.
Well, and again, the court storming, the field storming, that's part of college football. That's part of college sports. Virginia was clearly woefully unprepared for a situation like that because there was nobody over there. I mean, the kids were right on the sideline. They were right there, and they should not have been there. I don't know how they got out of the stands. I don't know who let them out of the stands. I don't know if they tried to stop them from getting out of the stands. But if the kids are still in the stands when the game ends and they storm the field, it's a better situation because you at least have the opportunity to slow them down, right? And you were a high school athletic director. I was a high school athletic director and principal, and it was a lot easier because I could go over to my kids and say, none of your butts are coming out of the bleachers. You better stay here. And they would because they knew. And, this is a different situation, obviously. And Virginia was not prepared for the moment at all because those kids were on the field in a matter of
Seconds.
Seconds, a mass of humanity. And yes, they were fortunate nobody got hurt because if somebody had gotten hurt and all that, and I can't even imagine.
That's just not good. It's not good.
It's one of those, to me, it's one of those more than one thing can be true at a time. I love that environment. I love that, the kids are enthusiastic and they're having fun. And it's also dangerous for opposing players. And they're fortunate nothing bad happened.
Yeah. And hey, try not to play rock and roll part 2. You can do your own research on that. So when we get back in segment 2, we'll talk about Group of 5. When I told Point 5 about it, he said, huh? We'll be right back on the High Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. Let's go group of 5, 6, the American. Okay, only one team's going to make it. And it's probably going to be from the American, but who will it be? We're looking at Navy. We're looking at Tulane. We're looking at Memphis. Robert, anybody from the American is in the lead in your book? Because that group of 5 team is probably going to come from the – probably. But what do you think?
Well, don't leave out North Texas because North Texas is 5-0, and they have looked very good. It's probably going to come from the American. It is not going to be to the Americans' benefit if they beat each other up like they're going to do in the Big 12. They really need it either to be a undefeated Memphis or Navy team, North Texas team, or a one-loss Tulane team. You're not going to have a two-loss team from the American, I don't think. Kind of depends still on what UNLV does in the Mountain West, and in Boise theoretically. Although Boise is probably going to get thumped next week by Notre Dame, and I that probably will put them low enough in the rankings that even if they win the Mountain West, whoever wins the American is going to be higher. So
yeah,
I do think that the representative is going to come from the American. It's going to be way better if that team is undefeated, though. If I don't know if that can happen. I feel like all 4 of those teams are pretty good. And if they beat each other up, that is not going to be beneficial for them.
Yeah, that's a great segue to the Mountain West and Pac-2. So, see, nobody's ranked right now. No group of 5 team is in the top 25. So that's why we're speculating. We're like, wow, okay. So in terms of the Mountain West, Boise has a shot next week. If they beat Notre Dame, they're going to get ranked, and Notre Dame's going to be done. I'm not thinking that's going to happen, though. And any thoughts about the Mountain West? UNLV, I'm still getting over the fact that they barely beat Miami of Ohio on the road. So what do you think?
Well, first of all, go Lobos.
Yes, and they scored too many points. I took the under.
New Mexico is 3-1. They beat New Mexico State, which doesn't mean a lot. But I mean, they're on track to get to a bowl game, which is huge for them. They don't do that very often, so kudos to the Lobos. Other than that, UNLV was off this week, so I don't, the rest of the Mountain West just isn't great. I mean, they're just not great. Boise, I think, can still win the league. That is not beneficial to the Mountain West. If the Mountain West wants a team in the playoff, it's got to be UNLV.
Yeah. All right, Sun Belt. JMU, Louisiana Monroe, and ODU keep fighting because you have the best shot out of a Sun Belt team to be ranked. And I don't know if you can get on a run to get ranked. I don't know if you can get on a run to garner national attention. Agree or disagree, Robert, in terms of the Sun Belt?
No, I agree with that. And I don't think you're going to be able to do. I don't think you're going to be able to do that. Texas State was off this week, and they're still in that mix. I mean, they've got to play James Madison. James Madison, ODU. Again, if it's going to be James Madison or ODU, they can't lose another game.
Can't lose another game. All right, Conference USA, you're playing for bowls, but shout out to Western Kentucky and Louisiana Tech. Go on, have a great season, and you'll help us strictly for entertainment purposes only because we know who you are and the other people don't. Uh, Boom action. We're making bowl money. The directional schools had their moment on Sports Center with Ohio and Central Michigan and Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan getting some TV time. But yeah, just get ready to make that bowl money. Robert, any thoughts on CUSA or the MAC this week?
No, no. I mean, we're getting to that time of year where we're going to start our Tuesday night action, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Always down for some horrible weather and a 60 to 55 game from Bowling Green or somewhere. But
Yes,
it's always
and
that
college basketball has not started yet, so we need something on TV.
Army
Yeah,
not unchained. Absolutely.
all right. HBCU wrap up. So in the MEAC, Morgan and North Carolina Central got wins. That's it. Everybody else lost. The SWAC, uh, Bethune-Cookman, Alabama State, Texas Southern, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Prairie View's got some wins. Jackson State got some wins, and in the CAA, both Hampton and A&T took L's. SWAC conference play is starting to heat up. The MEAC should get going soon, but again, what are we doing? ADs and these other conferences. I hope it's worth it, but you're getting drubbed every week, and it's not my money.
Cash the checks. Cash the checks.
Cash the checks. Cash the checks. All right, in segment 3, Robert and I are going to give you a preview of what should be the top 12 in the country and also look at the games of the week next week. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, let's go. OCP, college football top 12. So as of week 5, so don't get mad at me don't at me on social media. I'm going to give Ole Miss the SEC bid because they're 3-0 in conference. Enjoy this week, guys. Congratulations. They ain't going to last, but at least for this week, you'll get the bid because you're at the top of the conference. Big 12, Ohio State. Big 10, Ohio State. Big 12, Iowa State. ACC, Miami. Don't you dare lose next week or you're messing up for everybody. So we might get some strange calls next week, Robert. Group of 6, we'll give it to Memphis just because. Nobody else is. Anyway, so Memphis, you got it. So now we only have 6 teams left. Oklahoma's highly ranked. Texas A&M's highly ranked. Oregon, highly ranked. I don't know what they're going to do with Penn State because they don't have a good win. So I don't know if they're going to make it. Indiana and now it's a slew of SEC teams who are ranked higher than yours. So on the outside looking in, who probably would get one of these slots, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Missouri, and Vandy all deserve consideration because they're highly ranked. And most of them are going to go up. And again, Vandy, You win next week, Jiminy Crickets. They're gonna tear down Nashville. Big Ten. The only other school in the Big Ten that has not been mentioned is Michigan. Everybody else, you're not ranked. And those are the rules, and I didn't make it. Big 12. Robert is right. Iowa State's ranked pretty high. So you got Texas Tech, Arizona State, and BYU are the only other ranked teams. And I don't know if they're going to be ranked high enough. And in the ACC, you shot yourself in the foot because if I'm banking on Georgia Tech and Florida State, yeah, I'm not going to bank a lot. And then in the group of 6, we didn't forget you, South Florida, but we just know who you are, and you're not going to make it. Boise State, you got a shot, and then UNLV. So any thoughts, Robert, on the 12? Because I think we got it pretty accurate.
There's a lot of teams just kind of hanging around. It's still early, and that's what it is. A lot of teams just hanging around. I think this week we're going to learn some things. I think that let's see, looking at the schedule, Texas at Florida is a big game, obviously. Because Florida hasn't been winning, Texas cannot go in there and lose. Vanderbilt is at Alabama. Vandy's going to find out. One way or the other, Vandy's going to find out. Diego Pavia represent the 505. Let's go, buddy. We're going to find out about Houston this week because they host Texas Tech. And Florida State has kind of a chance at redemption, but
they're hosting that. It's in Tallahassee.
They're at home, but is it really good for the ACC if Florida State wins that game? I don't know, man. I don't know.
So I like Iowa State and Cincinnati as mine because Cincinnati is quietly having a decent season. Yeah. Quietly. Very quiet. And did you think Clemson, North Carolina would be a nothing? It's an absolute nothing game.
But yeah, meaningless.
You got Boise traveling to South Bend, and a sneaky good game. Yes, I'm a homer, Robert. Washington, in a conference matchup, is flying 5,000 miles to College Park, Maryland, right around the corner, and they're going to take on, I believe Maryland is still undefeated. So if Maryland can get this win, do they sneak in the top 25 and slow down?
Man, what? That's a conference game.
That is a conference game.
What are we doing?
And my upset of the week, Mississippi State will travel to Texas A&M and win, and then I don't have to talk about that dude anymore. Because that made me a little salty this week when he said, "Hey, why don't you talk about it?" Like week 5? Man,
well, and I mean, we'll find out, won't we? We'll find out because Texas A&M. That's Auburn is a good team, and you shut Auburn down.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Let's see now. Let's see.
All right, this has been fun, man. So on behalf of our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, the authentic voice of sports leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.